Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 63 of the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd, and I'm joined, as always, by the leafy green champion himself, Cabbage Boy McLima Beans.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I was about to say, how did you know which my Pokemon starter was? But that works too. Yeah.
Wait a second. Did people not pick Bulbasaur for Pokemon starter in the first game?
I have it on good authority that some people chose Squirtle. I think that is also acceptable.
What?
I think Charmander is kind of lame, though. I think Charizard's overplayed. There's my hot take right out the gate. Unrelated hot takes about a different property that is not Warhammer related. Wow. Charizard is only okay.
Yeah, fuck Charizard.
He's weak to water. Fuck him.
Yeah. Also, like, here's an idea. Fuck 2019. And we're going to get to that later in the episode because it has been a year, my dude.
It has been. I'm very happy to see it over.
Yeah, it's good to. That's you know that saying. I hate seeing it go, but I love watching you leave. Well, I love seeing it go, and I hate watching it leave, and I want it to die and never come back.
I'm more of a don't let the door hit you where the dog should have bit you kind of guy myself.
Don't let the door hit you on the ass. Oh my god, I can't even fucking do this on the way out. And if it does, make sure you clean it off. That's how we do it. Yeah.
Also good. It doesn't rhyme though, so I don't think it's quite as punchy a send off.
No, it's not. And I totally botched it.
That's cool.
It was
the Badcast way.
It was just poorly done all the way around. Okay, let's get into it, my dude. Let's get to the show and talk about the aspects. What's on our hobby radar, and I will begin with hobby progress. I finished up 3 more Orlocks for the Winter of Malcontents campaign, and I have posted them to Twitter, and some people have already liked them.
Yes, you have. I think I have already liked them because they looked super good. If they didn't, I'm a failure of a friend, and I'm sorry.
They look like the rest of my Orlocks. You know, the yellow and the red and the guns and the stuff. And you know,
it's a good scheme.
They look good. Painting them wasn't that bad. Painting them by the 3 instead of the 5 went a lot quicker. Because all those like base coats and then undercoats and then building up those bright colors from black, it's almost like I shouldn't be priming black.
Almost. I'm gonna put a pin in that. There might be a solution to that problem, but I think that might herald some further research.
Well, I'm too far into it at this time. Now I am at 18 Orlocks. I think I'm at 23.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 23 Orlocks. So the Winter of Malcontents campaign, you know, I had a couple of models in my list that weren't represented by actual models on the table yet. So I got my shit together and painted them up, and they look good. And I'm having a lot of fun with this campaign. We'll get to that in a minute, though. I started in on the Ambull and Friends, the boar worms. Nice. I'm going to be using them for another Ambull hunt, which we had talked about after we went to Cinco de Necro this year. In our downtime phase, I'm going to be throwing another Ambull hunt at some point for my players in this campaign also, and I want to have a painted Ambull for it. So here I am.
Nice.
Painting an Ambull.
That mission was a lot of fun. I'm not just saying that because I won.
Not only did you win, you won after getting backstabbed by Peter.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was definitely sort of a single cross situation.
It wasn't a double cross. You were just like, I'm choosing not to attack Peter. And then Peter was like, ha ha ha.
Joke's on you. Here's a las gunshot at your toughness 5 ganger. And combat shotgun.
It didn't work out that well for him, did it?
No, but it was a wonderful time.
It was extremely funny. I've also put together a bunch of Aeronautica Imperialis planes.
Sweet. Which ones?
So I put together Dakajets, Phytobombas, and Grot Bombas.
Nice.
So yeah, so I was up in Pennsylvania over Christmas to see my wife's family. And in the hotel room at night, after she would go to bed, because I generally stay up later than she does, I would just sit and watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on my computer and put together some AI planes. And I got to tell you, man, the AI stuff is super detailed.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, if that whole situation wasn't in Pennsylvania, it would have sounded like a pretty nice time.
Well, you know, Pennsylvania's not so bad. It's growing on me.
Okay. The only other thing I know of that grows in Pennsylvania is corn, but that works too.
Oh, other stuff grows in Pennsylvania, not just corn.
Oh.
Soybeans.
Let's not talk about it.
Livestock.
Other kinds of corn.
crushing ennui.
Poverty.
Okay, well, these planes are crazy detailed, man, and it's almost a intimidating amount of detail.
Yeah, but it's so small, it'll take a dry brush, no problem.
Yeah, so I have an idea of how I'm going to paint these, and it involves canned red spray, lots of Agrax Earthshade, and some dry brushing, and then some sponge weathering. And
yeah, that's
like
maybe
maybe.
what I'm gonna do with mine.
And I'm going to pick out some details. Some of there's like extra armor plates and stuff all over these things, like little tacked on armor plates. I figure I can do those in yellow and with the red undercoat, and then just to give it a little bit of pop, and then at the end throw some checks, some dags, and some checkers in there, and call it a day. And I think it should be. I think I said this last show, but now that I've actually put these things together, I don't even think it's going to be that bad.
Oh, not at
all. The
all.
question is, though, here's the question. Yeah. Do I glue the grot bombs to the wings of the grot bombers and paint them on the wing, or do I paint them separately? Painting them separately allows me to paint them better, but it will take longer. How much longer? Probably not that much longer.
Okay, how are they mounted? Because I thought the grot bombs were separate little bits.
No. These are the ones. These aren't the ones that come out and like fly around. These are the decorative ones that sit under the wings. You know how like the Imperial planes have the little missiles and stuff that sit under the wings?
All right, I'll be straight up. No one gives a shit what's under the planes because you're never going to see them.
Good point. I'm just
you're looking from above, you're never going to see them.
All right, I'm just going to glue them on. Okay, that's what I was leaning towards. But now that you've said that, I'm going to do it. I'm actually really excited about this. I haven't seen a lot of people paint the Orc planes out there. A lot of people are into the Imperial ones, and I know why, but I'm really excited about these Orc planes. Very excited about taking them to Adepticon and learning how to play this game on the fly.
You mean on the flight?
Hey, there we go. Now and it's a game about flying. So that's good. We're working it. We're having jokes. It's fun.
We're workshopping this one.
As far as other hobby progress, though, I want to turn on my ominous voice for a second.
Oh no!
And say, I've been working on other things.
What sort of things?
I will tell you later in the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Leaving me hanging here.
Yeah. So, what have you been working on?
Well, I'm going hard into Slaves to Darkness. I picked up the Start Collecting Slaves to Darkness box about 35 minutes ago. And while I haven't gotten to that part yet, I did paint up the first 5 test models for the scheme. So I basically did a test model, just like one of the old Warriors of Chaos, and then a second one, and then I just fleshed them out into a 5-man unit. And those models are lovely designed models, but they're of their time, and they have mold lines on the fur in their cape, which is hateful. No other word but hateful exists for that.
Okay.
But conversely, I built the Dark Oath War Queen model, which went together beautifully. I primed her. I'm going to be painting her next, I think. But I also built the Chaos Chariot.
Ooh, the what?
And the Chaos Chariot.
What is that?
It is exactly what it sounds like. It's either a chariot drawn by 2 horses with 2 dudes in the back, or drawn by this thing called a gore beast, which is like a lizard gorilla. And it is the fiddliest fucking kit I've ever built.
You say this, I feel like every other show.
It's because
except when you're building Marines, and then the kits are all fantastic.
All right, Dan, I don't know if you know this, but I am apparently a sponge for pain, and this model is all over it. So, all right, you know how like a Forge World kit says they're not designed to be assembled by beginners?
Yeah.
This kit might as well just say it's not designed to be assembled.
Wait, is this a plastic kit?
Yes.
Is this a 2019 plastic kit?
No, it's like a 2012 or 2013 plastic kit.
Oh, so this is like an older, not old, but older.
Yeah, it's older. It still matches the current aesthetic of everything, and it blends in really nicely.
Thing up. Chaos Chariot, you say?
Yeah, Chaos Chariot. And the thing is, like, it looks pretty much like, oh, yeah, that's like a fantasy chariot. But the problem is it's got all these ropes and, like, lines that lead from the charioteer to the chariot to the horse. And
this thing is bullshit.
All right, so it's you're seeing like all these bits. There's no way you can actually build this in one go and paint it. You need to do multiple sub-assemblies. But like the yoke that sits on the horses is like pointed, so it doesn't fit flush on the horses. So if you like plastic glue it on wrong, you just won't be able to build the rest of it accurately. You'll need to snap it off. I've already had to carve it off the base and re-glue it once.
Ooh.
Yeah, and building this thing is not my favorite part. You might have gathered that. Storing this thing will also not be my favorite part because it is just spindly bits in every fucking
for
direction.
real. Here's the thing about AOS, my friends.
Yeah.
My babies.
Yeah.
How the fuck does anybody store any AOS stuff?
That's why I don't have plans to buy Archaon because I don't know how I can store him in my home.
Well, you're not going to buy Archaon?
I might eventually, but I'm going to need to work some things out.
What are you fucking doing with Slaves of Darkness if you're not going to buy fucking Archaon?
I'm going for Slaves of Darkness, not Lords of Darkness.
But he's the Lord of the Slaves of Darkness.
He is the Lord of the Slaves of Darkness.
All right, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
How do the Slaves to Darkness feel about Abe Lincoln? Sorry, listeners. I just wanted to have an excuse to introduce you to our newest sound effect, the 14-second long toilet flush sound effect.
I mean, all right. So here's I think the Slaves of Darkness are going to have a hard time once the Stormcast abolitionators come out next year.
The abolitionators.
So all right. So I will say I
shouldn't be joking about this.
No, we probably shouldn't. You can feel free to cut out as much as you want to.
God.
So I will say one good thing about this kit is the Lord on the back with the giant axe has possibly the most anime cape in all of Games Workshop's ranges.
Really?
It is longer than he is tall. I have no idea how he's supposed to walk around without just tripping on it, but it looks dope as hell flowing behind him.
Yeah, well, okay, so this model to me is pretty indicative of just AOS bullshit generally, where it's just so much stuff on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of the Slaves of Darkness stuff, the new stuff that's come out, has been extremely good, I think. I mean, it's spiky as hell, but it hasn't been that insane. But this one, like this, oh boy, there's a lot going on. Now, did you use the lizard gorilla man with the nipple horns, or did you put the horses on? Before you answer, there is a correct answer to this question.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Which means I'm already wrong.
Yep.
The correct answer is the lizard gorilla with nipple horns. But the horses do have sternum horns. And the horses let it go faster, and I think I might be able to build the lizard gorilla into some sort of cool demon spawn creature monster thing.
Oh, I guess yeah, you've got that going for you.
You get the whole lizard gorilla there.
Yeah, you do.
In my tribe, we use every part of the lizard gorilla.
I was gonna do that joke. Yes.
Fuck you.
You don't like the sound effects, do you?
Okay. Begrudgingly, yes. And only certain ones. You can't see the hand gesture I'm doing here, but you can probably guess which certain ones those are. Don't play it. Don't cheapen the bit.
I won't.
All right.
Okay, so what else? You've done that. You've built this chariot. You haven't painted this chariot yet. Have you built any of the new Slaves to Darkness? Slaves to Darkness or Slaves of Darkness?
Slaves to Darkness.
Slaves to Darkness. Okay, thank you.
Yes, keyword Slaves to Darkness. Keyword Slaves of Darkness comes out next year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I built this kit. I was working on it before I was putting the last gluing it to the base before we started recording, and I did tell you I bought the Start Collecting box about 5 minutes ago, so I bought the Start Collecting box about 40 minutes ago, so I haven't worked on that yet, no.
Okay, well.
It's real nice, though.
Yeah, the models look really cool. Did you get the endless spells?
No, I didn't. Not yet, anyway. I might get to those eventually. I don't have a wizard yet, so I may as well wait before I get the things that get throw around.
Okay, well.
And speaking of things that are impossible to store, but although what was it, the Chaos Star with a skull vomiting out fire fucking rips.
Yeah. No, these models are fucking excellent, dude. There's no two ways about it.
That's pretty much it for just hobby progress stuff. I got a little bit of ham stuff for Christmas. I got my dad got me the Aeronautica Imperialis ground asset set, which I can't wait to paint because I have a painting progress sheet where I'm keep track of models bought, models built, models painted, etc. And painting that set will take me an hour and a half, and it'll add 30 models to my models painted queue.
All right. That's I saw that at the store the other day, and I was like, I am playing Aeronautica now, but I need to finish what I have already for that. Let's talk about Christmas. Let's talk about what we got. Some cool stuff.
Yep.
I want to go first. So we have this Secret Santa thing on the Something Awful Goon Warhammer Discord. And my Secret Santa present was fucking radical. Because I don't know who is from. They're still anonymous, which is like kind of annoying. But I know they're from Massachusetts because that's where the postmark was from one of the packages. Except you're the only person I know from Massachusetts on that Discord.
I personally know a couple other people there from Massachusetts, so there's a possibility I know who it's from, but I don't know for sure.
Well, you don't have to spoil it for me. So they sent over an extremely cool Raven Guard standard. Now, you were at Adepticon a couple of years ago, and you remember there was a fellow who was selling these vinyl standards.
Yeah, JD has one for his Ultramarines display.
Right now, I have one for my Raven Guard thing, and it's awesome. It looks fantastic. It's on my wall. I love it to pieces. And the same goon also sent me a box of Pro Elves for Blood Bowl, which I hadn't bought yet, and I'm going to need to use for Adepticon. So I'm very, very excited about that. So thank you, secret gift giver, my secret Santa, my secret crush, my secret admirer. I don't know. Well, I will never know. But really great gifts. Really excited about that. Now, Campbell, what did your Secret Santa get you?
So some jamoke I've never heard of named Daniel Boyd decided to send me some lovely new audio equipment, which I'm recording on right now. So listeners, let me know if this sounds better than my old microphone.
Well, Liam, who runs our Secret Santa program, who we know and love, he messaged me and he was like, your Secret Santa is Campbell. And I was like, nice. I'm going to get him a gift that both of us can use. And by me using it, I mean, for the show.
It's a gift for you as well as a gift for me. It's like Homer giving Marge a bowling ball that says Homer on it.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. And I'm glad that you have already integrated it into our show.
No, I'm really happy to have it. The sound quality is fantastic. So.
All right. And I got a couple of other cool things from cool friends. Jules, our friend Jules, sent me some Necron bits because I want to make some alien weaponry for Necromunda with my Orlocks. But then he also went and sent Ragnar Gunstein, the squat ammo jack.
Oh, nice.
Which I didn't have. So that's huge. That's awesome. I'm really excited to get that guy painted up at least before spring, before we do our next Necromunda event. And so thanks, Jules. Really appreciate that.
Cool.
And then out of fucking nowhere. Now, Jules sent that because he was already sending me something. And he took the time to expand our friendship even more. But out of fucking nowhere, the absolute fucking madman himself, Alfredo, our friend, sent me a whole goddamn Titan battle group for Adeptus Titanicus.
Fucking yay. I thought that was a Secret Santa thing.
No, he just sent me a fucking Titan battle group for Adeptus Titanicus. And now I have one of those. And I mean, I love the fucking models. I've cracked open the box and taken a look at the sprues. That's all I've done so far. I have to stick to my Adepticon plans. I can't go veering off into Titan land right now. But man, oh man, he is trying to get me into Titans, Campbell.
Well, so the winning move here would be to paint them, glue them to Aeronautica bases, and use them as the flight stands for your airplanes. The perfect use of those models.
Oh man, I don't even think he'd be mad.
I think the gall of that is impressive enough.
If they were painted nice enough, I think Alfredo would be cool with it.
Well, your friend of mine, Dylan, got me the everlasting wet palette and a whole bunch of palette paper for that thing. So I'm really excited to get a hand on that because my old wet palette is a hand-me-down from Dylan to Cody back to Dylan to me. So I think it's about time. I upgraded a little bit.
I'm so proud of you. Yeah, listeners, it's one of the things I'm always reminded about with this podcast is how important the friends we've made along the way are. And I know that this is a joke that gets grounded to the ground, especially by our friends over at Goonhammer. But like, it is important. The most important part of this hobby to me has become the people that we know. And so, remember, get out there and make those relationships and, keep them going and make friends and play games and all that good stuff. But thank you, everybody, for making me feel special this holiday season.
Thank you, everybody, for making Dan feel special this holiday season.
Thanks for repeating me, Campbell. Excellent analysis. As usual, let's move on to games played. Campbell, have you played any games?
Yes, actually. I played not one, but 2 games of Warhammer Underpants with Pete and Kat. They were swinging by. They helped me install a new light fixture in my dining room, which means the dining room is now bright enough that you can actually see games going on in there.
Very
so
good.
we took advantage of that and played 2 games of the Slay the Giant mission that was in White Dwarf.
Yeah.
And Anne actually joined us for the second game of it. So
fun.
I played as the Godsworn Hunt because I love me my muscle bunch.
Of course you did.
And I had, let's see, I never actually succeeded at all, but I did okay. I had a lot of fun. Just like the Slay the Giant mission is kind of working together to kill the giant, but once the giant's dead, all bets are off, and you're trying to kill each other to get the most points. And when I did have the most points, the giant survived, so we all lost. And when I didn't have the most points, I think Anne killed the giant, so she won. But in my 2 games, my MVPs were definitely Grundle Bloodeye and Sean the Head Claimer, which I can't remember what their actual names were, but I just kept calling them Grundle and Sean. So that's their names now.
I love it.
For those 2, I think Peter took the Sepulchral Guard, who were the Skellymans. Kat took the Thorns of the Briar Queen in the first game, and the Butt Dwarves in the second. And when Anne played, she took her Thorns of the Briar Queen too. Both games were really fun. They were really tight, and gotta love me some tight underpants.
Yes, some tight Warhammer underpants. I'm glad to hear that you're getting some mileage out of that. And I'm also glad to hear that when Peter comes over, you put him to work fixing your stuff, because that's exactly what I would do if Peter came to my house.
I mean, really, I put Kat to work. She's the one who's actually the electrical expert.
Very nice. That's a power couple.
It is. Once you switch the breaker on,
it's a voltage couple.
There it is. Oh, you get
a current couple, an ohm couple. Should I?
No, you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that. Yeah, that's what you were. That's what you get. That's where your jokes belong, in the butt toilet.
I stopped it.
You did cut it short.
I cut it short. I didn't want to do the whole 14 seconds. Not this time. All right, so I've played one game of Necromunda versus our friend Kevin, Primaris Kevin, because he's a fucking giant. This was a great game. It was the Archaeotech Hunters mission, which or Archaeo Hunters mission. I don't remember. One of the two. This is a really fun game where in the middle of the board there's an automata or a servitor that is needed to open up the vault, so your gangers can run into the vault and steal all the riches inside.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing about this automata, Campbell. It kicks fucking ass if you can turn it on. So the name of the game is to run up with a high intelligence character, turn this thing on, and then let it loose, charging all your enemies with its fucking heavy rock saw, which is strength +4, AP -4, and damage 4.
Well, I'm glad the auto tomato could turn a bunch of your dudes into tomato paste.
It might be damage 3. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Damage enough, okay?
It's real mean. So this game ended up as a draw. It was my Orlocks, the Golden Archies, against Kevin's, I think he the Polar Express or something like that is his name there. They are Gene Stealer cultists. In the theme of not really Gene Stealer cultists, but like Adeptus Mechanicus cultists.
Okay.
He's got great models that he needs to paint, but they're very well converted.
Neat.
So it turned into quite the bloodbath. It was a draw at the end, and neither of us got anybody into the vault at the end of the game. It just ended with a lot of Orlocks and a lot of Polar Express guys on the floor. Quite dead. Nobody got captured. I think Kevin did kill one of my champions permanently, because of course he did. But my leader ran wild on his gang and took out, I think, 4 different guys by himself. Nice. So it was a good one. It was a ton of fun, and Kevin's a great opponent. So dude, the Winter of Malcontents campaign is fucking rolling right now. It's in a little bit of a pause because of the holidays, but we're gonna get it back going up, right? And dude, like playing Necromunda regularly in a campaign structure is just so much goddamn fun.
Yeah, that's where the game's meant to be played. That's how the game's meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah, so my team, my gang rather, keeps getting way strong, and I don't really... Well, I do know why. Is because I keep every game that intrigues are a factor. Not every game uses intrigues because intrigues are almost game-breakingly powerful. I go for them. And I go for them at the expense of everything else because you can get crazy huge cash rewards. And so I got another 150 credits just off intrigues this game, and which was good because I needed to replace a champion with a grenade launcher.
Oh,
because whoops, Kevin killed a guy. And I don't know, man. Like this is my first campaign with the new Necromunda rule set, and it's a long misrule campaign. I think I'm going to have to make more tweaks, and there are already quite a few tweaks.
Yeah. Well, I know in the talk of there's talk in my group about doing a Necromunda campaign sometime, in the coming year. And I know there's a lot of tweaks being done, a lot of little changes, a lot of more sweeping, more narrative changes. Like it's a game that lends itself to being adjusted however you want, though.
Yeah. And well, a lot of the stuff, just like, I mean, and I write a weekly column about Necromunda, and it is very unbalanced. Mm-hmm. And I think it was designed to be like that, and I cannot fathom why. I guess I don't know. I don't know why, but it's just like the rackets are what people are fighting over. Like it's like territories, but instead of territories, it's like a type of crime or something.
Yeah.
Like, your narco distribution or exotic beasts trade or stuff like that. And some of them are like really good and others are not good at all. And so I've got a racket that gives me 2d6 times 10 credits every time I collect income. But if I roll doubles, I get nothing.
Okay.
But the last two times I've rolled a 9 and a 7 with no doubles. Well, you can't roll doubles because they're odd numbers. So the last two times I've collected income, I've made 160 credits.
Hence the AMBOT after one game.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, then like Kevin has a racket that he just can't use, which I need to figure something out with because that's not good. And I'm the arbitrator and I'm the one who's supposed to stop things like that from happening. So yeah, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. It's cool. Yeah. All right. So let's move into new stuff, and my computer screen keeps going to screensaver. So here we go. Thank you. New stuff. Tech Priest Grombrindal.
Oh yeah, the white dwarf with the black gobbo as a little tech priest. It's a weird figure. I love the theme of it, but it looks kind of flat to me. But the fact you can only get it in store between Boxing Day and like tomorrow is dumb as hell. But whatever, be that way.
Yeah,
I don't need it.
I'm not going to buy it.
It's cute. I'm glad it exists. I wish it was more available to people who'd want it.
All right, Psychic Awakening number 4 is coming out, and apparently this one has Dark Angels in it.
Moving on.
That's deserved. We're going to give it all 14 seconds of this one.
Okay.
Greg, this is for you.
A moment of silence for the First Legion. And your minus D3 victory points.
Yeah, that's about it for new stuff, though.
Yeah, it's really quiet this time of year, which I'm pretty okay with. It gives
a bad thing. All right, let's move on to making some calls. We make the call. So it's a two-parter this episode.
All right.
Because I found a fun one in our email, and it's small and it's short. Okay. So I'm calling it an amuse-bouche. We make the call amuse-bouche.
Okay. Let's wheel out this we make the call on a fucking artisanal crudité plate before the main course of we make the call on a slightly larger charcuterie plate.
All right, it's from Sam Ross via email, and he says, would it be acceptable to bring a fully painted Loyalist Marine army to an event and run it as Alpha Legion?
Only if you're clever about it. Like, there was an Ultramarines army that was making the rounds in the interwebs a few years ago where all the Ultimas were, like, if you looked closely, actually Hydra heads. And it's like, oh, that's a cool, clever sort of thing. If it's just straight up like, my Imperial Fist, but stay their Alpha Legion, it's, no, man. No, I don't like that. I know, like, paint schemes being tied to rules gets people salty sometimes, but they are what they are, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you've managed to do it in a clever way, yeah, absolutely awesome. Or if it's just like a game with a buddy of yours and you're just fucking around and thinking, like, I might start a Chaos Army, but I'm just going to proxy my Marine Army and call them Alpha Legion. Like, I'd be totally cool with that. But if you roll up to like a tournament with a Marine Army and you're like, it's Alpha Legion, these dreadnoughts are Lords Discordant, I'd be like, oh, bud.
Yeah.
Did you have to? Did you fucking have to? Okay, well, Sam, hopefully that answers your question, but let's move on to our main course of We Make the Call. This one's from Alex Willoughby via email, and it's a long one, so I'm just going to kind of read the first and the third part of it here. How do you play regularly when your local meta runs contrary to the kind of games you like to play? For example, the trend in my area is towards uber competitive ITC play, and there's not much narrative/fun gaming. It's gotten to the point where I no longer play, quote, blind date, unquote, style games because I always get my ass kicked by some proxy hell list from DACA. And then he goes on to explain how he runs narrative events sometimes, and people bring somewhat abusive armies to them. And then he says, help me, bad boys. You're my only hope. Well, okay. Alex, this one might be right up our alley for how we can answer it. So Campbell, take it away.
Well, I'll wind backwards here. So if you're running narrative events or friendly events or whatever, and people are bringing beat-face lists, I shit you not, introduce a comp system. Like, it doesn't need to be the most well-researched rubric in the world. It can even just be hey, I'll review this list and say whether it's good or not. And some people will be down with that, some won't. Like, back in the Dork and Morka days, we had an event called the June Jerk-Off, where every player was given so many jerk-off points in their list. And, like, certain things would be, like, plus jerk-off points or minus jerk-off points. So taking very, like, meta choices would usually be something that would, like, give you too many jerk off points, but taking like intentionally bad or more narrative focused units would give you a better result on the jerk off chart. I don't remember the exact rubric it was, but finding something like that, or even copying if you can find some other events doing like a comp rubric, you could just copy theirs wholesale. Yeah. I haven't really seen comp get thrown around much since like 6th edition, but I see no reason not to bring it back in a narrative or friendly event if you want to ensure a certain kind of standard. Or you could even be like, hey, here's a list, here's an example list. This is kind of like the list you should balance your army around. Like, even if you want to be a little more hands-off, you could just be like, oh, here's my 1,500 point list for this event. It's so strong, it's so weak, whatever. This is kind of the standard you should be aiming for. And yeah, some people will probably still gravitate towards the hyper-competitive end of the spectrum, but maybe they'll just end up fighting against each other in a corner somewhere.
The June Jerk-Off, huh?
Yeah, Dork and Morka took its events very seriously.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's a... Oh, hey, sorry, honey, I can't do the yard work today. I'm going to the June Jerk-Off.
Yeah, it was right after the Backyard Jack-Off. Sorry, shit, Jackyard Back-Off. I'm getting my Cramp songs wrong.
Oh, my God.
Anywhoomst. So that's introducing a comp system of some sort is how I would do it for events. For pickup games, I don't do those anymore.
No.
Like, I just don't. I'm in a privileged enough position where I know enough people who I like to play with that I can kind of run off against them. And sometimes I'll get a request from a listener or somebody who wants to play, and they'll usually have a notion of what kind of person I'm like, and we'll get a decent game in that way. But like just showing up at a store and rocking up 1,500 points, unless it is like a specific event, like the one at Hobby Bunker I went to a few weeks ago, I'm not really doing that anymore. And again, I understand I am in like you and I are both in like more established positions where we can, just kind of play with who we want to. But I would advise kind of just not doing that if you can help it. If you can find just kind of a regular core of players, even if you were to run one of those friendlier events, actually, you might be able to, that might actually be the thing that could bring some of those friendly players out and those more narrative players out, or even some of the more competitive players could bring out their less competitive side, because I've known people who do play like beat face tournament level lists who can tone it down and play like a nice narrative, less high octane game.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head right there. You've got to be specific, Alex, with your events and say, hey guys, don't be a jerk, and figure out a way to translate that to them, whether it's in the primer, whether it's in an email that goes out, whether it's a comp score or something. As far as pickup games are Yikes. Not something that either of us really do anymore, but I would suggest maybe gravitating towards a small miniature game, small model count game rather, where the focus is more narratively influenced, such like Necromunda or Warcry or
still
something.
Necromunda.
Or still Necromunda, where, yeah, I realize that that's kind of a cop-out answer because it's not 40K, but, the popular thing with 40K right now is stuff like ITC. Mm-hmm. And people are going to abuse that and going to do the best they can just because it's the natural thing to do. So if you're not having that conversation before games, then it seems to me that, maybe taking a break from 40K is the right move.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer answer, but I do think if you are able to get the message across with an event you run, I think you can actually keep up your 40K gaming without having to compromise too hard. So, okay,
well, let's move on. Let's get to our first segment today. And this one is a question from a listener, actually, that he suggested we use for We Make the Call, but we're actually going to turn into an entire segment. This is from Kyle Goodridge, and it's how to decide when to jump into a new game system. Now, this is something that both of us think about quite a lot these days because there's so many games coming out and there's so many games that we both want to play.
That's it. I think I play 5 of just Games Workshop ones, in varying levels.
3, 4. I guess if you count Adeptus Titanicus, I'm also at 5.
Yeah. So jumping into, and how many of those did we jump into in the last year?
Well, I mean, I can't really call 2019 a year where I jumped into Aeronautica Imperialis. I think that's going to be more of a 2020 thing.
That's fair.
So for me, it's really, I haven't jumped into any new games this year in 2019. And I think I know why. I'll go first on this one if you don't mind.
Sure.
So for me, it's all about time. And my big question is about a new game. Can I still play the games I'm already playing if I decide to divert some time into this new game? If the answer is yes, then yeah, I'm in. Let's start doing it. But if not, then no, I'm not going to get into the new game. So right now, after 2019, I'm kind of in a good spot as far as like Warhammer 40K goes. There's still a bunch of stuff I want to do with my Raven Guard, but I have enough variety of stuff that I don't need to be working around the clock with Raven Guard only to get to where I want to be. So that gives me more time to focus on things like Necromunda. That gives me time to open up the Aeronautica Imperialis and to work on a new Blood Bowl team. And especially since I'm not going to play 40K at Adepticon in 2020, currently 40K is on the back burner. And there are some things I want to do with 40K. I want to do another squad of Eliminators as soon as I can get some of the specialist game stuff out of the way. But like, this is, it has worked out that I'm going to have time to work on stuff that's not 40K, which is why I'm getting into Aeronautica Imperialis. Also, Aeronautica, I feel like it's going to be quick getting all this stuff together.
Yeah, it's quick.
I keep saying that. I keep saying that it's going to be bad. I'm going to fuck this up somehow.
Once you paint your first 2 planes, you're going to be fine. You're going to be totally okay. Just breathe. Hang in there, Dan. Hang in there.
So yeah, Kyle, I think for me, it's all about time. And that's the big equation. Can I still play the games I'm already playing if I decide to divert some time into the new game? That's the question I ask. So what about you, Crumbles?
See, for me, it's not like time is obviously going to be a factor, but most of my factors are social ones. So like, it's always going to be a risky prospect to jump into a new game, blindly, whether it's time, money, what have you. But if you don't have people to play with, you're going to have a lot less fun with it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to necessarily be like the canary in the coal mine who is just going to like buy into every new game, like sight unseen or whatever. It's better if you can to look around and see if there's already an established gaming group for it in your area. So like whether you have a local game store you can ask through or Facebook groups or whatever, I think it's very important to do your homework and see who else is playing and what kind of other people are playing and if there are other people playing. Because, I was a brain genius when I started playing 30K because I had no one to play with. But then when I happened to meet some people at an Armies on Parade event at Games Workshop, and that's where I met a bunch of actual 30K players. So I was able to play that with those people for like a year or so. So I was lucky in that case, but I don't know. I wouldn't start a game if I didn't know there were people playing in the area. Like Warhammer Underworlds is kind of my sort of outlier there, but I just play that basically with a few people who come, in that town.
So here's two things. One, I think Kyle's email, he mentioned getting into 30K, which I was just like, what, why? I guess it is the perfect game.
It is the perfect game. If you can't grasp that perfection, that's on you.
I've always felt that perfect is the enemy of good. And I think in that game, I might be onto something there. But I want to give you a little bit of pushback there, Crumbo. I think that if you want to start a game, if you feel into starting a game, and you've checked off your list and you figured out your method or whatever, and you say, yeah, I can start this game, I think you should just go ahead and start this fucking game and be the change that you want to see in the world. And if there isn't a local group for it, fucking paint 2 Necromunda gangs and get your friends into it. Say, hey, I've got the Goliath gang, I've got the Escher gang, I will give you a demo game, come over to the house and let's get this shit going. Or paint the starter set for Aeronautica Imperialis and say, hey, I've got 2 factions of planes here. Come on over. Let's play some fucking Aeronautica and get people into it by, the drug dealer method. The first one's free.
Yeah. If you have the means to do that, that's a great way to do it.
Most of these games come with a starter set with two factions.
They do. Even 40k and AOS have multiple starter sets that are relatively affordable that let you do that sort of thing. But that is a lot easier with with Necromunda or Aeronautica. That's very true. Or again, Warhammer Underpants. But the one thing I always need to consider is whether the game has a future. So there was a like in my old gaming group, there were so many games that just came and went that just kind of like people would be like really excited about, maybe play a game or two of, and then just kind of peter off. And it's like, oh, guess we're never going to play fucking Mercs again or Warzone Rebirth or whatever again. Like you should, we're a Warhammer podcast generally, or Necromunda podcast generally. Sorry, I have to correct myself there. So it pays to see what the company's track record is for supporting games. So like Games Workshop circa 6 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever, I would be very sketchy about picking up anything that was not just straight up Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer Fantasy at that point. But these days they seem to be pretty good at supporting things going forward. The only one I felt kind of shaky about is Aeronautica, honestly, because they just haven't really been saying much about it after that initial release of stuff and the Grot Bomber.
They've released multiple orc kits in the wake of, well, I guess 2 orc kits in the wake of Aeronautica, the Heavy Bomber and the Grot Bomber.
Yeah, they have. But it hasn't been like the drumbeat of information from them as a company isn't quite up with what it is for any of their other games, whether it's Titanicus or Necromunda or what have you.
I'm going to push back again because I do not think that we just generally get a whole lot of information out of their specialist games people. I mean, we got a Necromunda FAQ like 2 weeks ago that came out of nowhere. Like nobody was expecting it to happen. And then boom, it's there. We hear about Titanicus stuff like maybe once a month. Like, I don't know. I don't think any of the specialist games has anywhere near the amount of coverage on like Warhammer Community or the rumor mill or whatever else that Warhammer or AOS does.
Right. It never will, but it doesn't feel like it has quite as much as, Necromunda or Warcry or what have you. It's confirmation bias probably, but what I'm trying to say is you want to make sure the game that you're into is going to have people to play with, whether you get them in or not. You're going to have time to paint or play it or both or what have you, and that the game has a future. Whether that future is just you and some friends playing it back and forth or a future of a game being supported by a company that keeps making new stuff for all the time, like you want to know these things going in.
I got to say, man, it's so funny that to you, like people playing the game is important because I got into Necromunda in my home area here in the DC area. Like I didn't know anybody who played Necromunda and I was just like, I'm playing Necromunda now. Talked about it with you, did our little trip stuff. And now talking about it on the show so much has gotten people into Necromunda. And then I'm just like, I'm fucking doing a campaign in my home area and I'm going to see who wants to play. And then, oh wait, I'm at Nova and some fans of the show came up and said, hey, we like Necromunda too if you ever want to get a campaign going. And then I fucking did because I don't know, man. Things will happen. people want to play these games.
Yeah.
And if you want to fucking get into them, even though you don't know anybody who plays, I really think that will change if you, Kyle, if you decide to get into a game without any players around.
Yeah, Kyle, you just need to start your own podcast, be really enthusiastic about a certain game, and just hope people will flock to you.
Yeah, hopefully you have a nice personality and you're charismatic too, because that helps.
It does help. Tell us what it's like.
Oh, brutal. Terrible. Okay, Campbell, let's move on. That was a good one, Kyle. Thanks for that question. And, keep writing in, keep asking us questions. We definitely love to farm out some content to our listeners. So please keep indulging us on that. But let's move on and let's talk about the hell world that 2019 was. This is the 2019 wrap up and 2020 look forward. Right. But let's start in chronological order and talk about 2019. Now, I think that all of us can agree that 2019, oh boy, a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah. I hope to never have a 2019 again in my life, and I probably won't because that's not how time works, but a year like it would be awful too.
Oh man. We're not going to be able to just stick to hobby with this.
I'm trying. Yeah,
I'm not even going to try.
Okay, Well, here's the thing. If you're like, it's like, highlight, a cool new model came out. Lowlight, a horrible tragedy racked everyone I know and love. It's like that trivializes the tragedy. And that's why I'm keeping that out of my 2019 highlights and lowlights. But anyone who's been listening for at least the last year knows that this has been a tumultuous year for both of us, with a lot of great stuff and a lot of awful stuff happening to both of us and the people around us. So I'm trying to keep it mostly to hobby stuff, or at least Badcast adjacent stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to, but let's talk about it. So before we get into our highs and lows, let's talk about our 2019 in fully painted models.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
So I went through my list last night in preparation for this show and came up with the models I finished in 2019. And I will definitely take a picture and throw it up on Twitter for people to see. It's actually not that much. It certainly isn't as much as the last 2 years, but I feel like I have a little bit of an excuse in 2019 because I did get married and then my mom died and then I bought a house. So it's been kind of a year over here. So I'm not going to go through the whole list because that's boring radio, but it is certainly not as much as I have finished in the past 2 years, though I do want to touch on a couple of things that I'm really, really happy with that I painted. So first off, Shrike. Shrike came out, and at Nova, they introduced his model, and I remember just the feeling of like, oh my God, really? Really? And yeah, it really was. And I painted mine. I got the red streak in his hair. I took him off of his stupid jersey wall. I absolutely love this model. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of it, and it looks fantastic. And the other one, I think one of the best paint jobs I've ever done is my Phobos Librarian.
Yeah, that model looks lovely.
Yeah, I'm just so happy with it. The camo is good on him. His sword is extra glowy. I think I have nailed the librarian armor scheme to the point where I want them to release more Primaris librarians so I can paint more of that blue, that dark blue. It's a great model, and it totally whips ass on the table too with the Tenebrous Curse power. Just, I'm chef's kissing left and right over here. I'm not going to play the song. I'm just so happy with that model. That and Shrike, I think, are the two highlights of my year as far as models go.
Nice. I'll keep up with you on the painting for this year as a highlight because it's one of my favorite parts of this hobby.
Oh, definitely.
So I paint. All right. I keep track of how much I buy, how much I build, how much I paint. And this year, as of today, I bought 100 models, which, yikes, but I built 153 and I painted 133. So I
Ooh.
did keep up with that practice.
Into black.
Yeah, so that's less than I've painted before, but because last year it was like 220 something, but a lot of that 220 something was like Empire hordes of troops that went by pretty quickly.
Right.
This year was almost all Primaris Space Marines.
Yeah,
like
they're a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And you do extra stuff on yours, don't you?
A lot of extra stuff, a lot of freehand, a lot of patterns, a lot of like caution stripes, mostly caution stripes. It's just caution stripes and checkers, but that takes a while. But that did equal 3,250 points of Ultramarines since January.
Oof.
Because
only you got to use them at Nova.
If only I really fucking wish I did.
Yeah.
But I still got a lot of games in with them. I am gonna get to play a big game with them Monday with Dylan. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, that's my hobby highlight. I got to get almost my entire backlog of Primaris Marines done, and again, 3,250 points of Ultramarines in 1 year. It's pretty all right.
Yeah, it's not bad. You're actually getting close to me with points in your Ultramarines and my Raven Guard.
Well, it's because I don't have an Astraeus.
No, you don't.
And I hopefully never will.
I have one. Oh man, somebody's got to buy you one. Even if it's like a fucking China Forge one.
Ooh, we don't. Do we talk about recasting the show? I don't think we do. Either way,
who cares? Okay,
cares?
Hobby high for me. My hobby highs are basically events, painting. I'm giving up the goat right now, and people. Right. So let's go to events. Adepticon is up there for me. Adepticon was fantastic. We had an awesome time. You won all of the medals.
Yep.
We made some and maintained some very important friendships. We won trivia.
Yeah, which is the most important thing of the entire event. Honestly, maybe even of the year.
We did karaoke, and I had just a sip of Malort for the first time and last time.
I did the whole shot. I still regret it. I still do.
Yeah, and that was actually that night when we went out after trivia and did karaoke. I made our Lyft driver stop at a gas station and get a bottle of Gatorade. And I think you were in the car with us, and you declined this option. I stayed in the
car with a stranger
instead of going to the gas station and buying Gatorade. And then I felt good in the morning, and you did not.
I did not, and I didn't throw up on the plane home though. Just the plane there. Came real close, though. Real close.
That's good. Cinco de Necro is up there for me also. That was such a fun time running a weekend campaign with our friend Jules. And that friendship with Jules, man, that's just getting stronger and stronger. I absolutely love working with him on Necromonday at Goonhammer. And, like Necromunda this year is, at least for hobby for me, like for games, I think I've played more Necromunda games than I have. Maybe not 40k games, but it's got to be close at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2020, I actually track how many fucking games I play.
I did that for like a year, and I gave up around July. I was even going as far as like decisive victory, lessons learned, like things that did right, things that did wrong. And I'm like, fuck it, dude. It's a fucking game.
Yeah, and then of course Nova came around in the fall, and Nova was definitely diminished because you weren't there, but it's still such a fun time, and it's great to hang out with everybody because everybody comes to Nova, and there's a bunch of people came from the UK.
I'm really
people were coming in from the left coast this year. Like, it was a good one. It was a ton of fun, and I can't wait to do it again next year. So. What about you, Campbell? Let's hit on another one of your hobby highs for 2019.
My second highlight is going to be pretty much the same as yours, events, but a somewhat truncated one because unfortunately I couldn't make it to Nova. But like Adepticon was such a fucking blast, and I can't believe it was only 35 years ago. And Cinco de Necro right after that. Oh my God. Like it was just like so many great games, like so many great people to hang out with, like listeners, congoers, goons, new friends,
Randos.
Old friends, you, karaoke with Hard Rock Dave or whatever his name was, like trivia.
And we met the Lord of the Rings player at the karaoke bar who didn't even know Adepticon was going on, who had scratch built terrain. Yeah.
Out of the foam from a TV box. And it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it did look good.
Yeah, it was really cool. Events are always going to be the highlight, but as much fun as Cinco de Necro is, like Adepticon was that's now such a foundational part of my year. And
I can't even imagine not going this. I mean, oh God, knocking on wood over here.
Yeah.
Like if I couldn't go for whatever reason this year, I would be just crushed, I think.
Exactly the same. I'd like to not have a repeat of that whole situation. But Adepticon 2019, definitely. That's not to diminish any of the other great events I went to, whether it was Synchro de Necro or Spencer's Narrative Game Day, Hobby Bunker, or anything like that. Adepticon is just, it can't be beat. Except maybe Vanova.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, and so the last Hobby High, as lame as it may seem, it's the friends we made along the way for me. Just the absolute outpouring of support for the show, the incredible relationships we have got to make because of the show, because of our involvement in the hobby, and because we go to these events. It's wonderful. And my core group of friends these days doesn't live in my area, are not people I hang out with all the time, but they are people that I talk to all the time, and they are people that I interact with on the internet all the time. And Campbell, you are foremost amongst them.
Oh, damn.
So I can't imagine doing this hobby without you, without the listeners, without the Something Awful community. It's been the year of friendships and relationships and working on things together. Goonhammer has exploded this year. And I love that. I love being a part of that. I also love being a non-super important part of that, working on a game that only a fraction of the Goonhammer readers actually care about. It is just been a fantastic year for getting to know people, for knowing people, and for being a part of this community. And I can't wait to see what 2020 brings us as far as people and friends and listeners and, just the community of this hobby.
I can't think of a year where I've needed that community more than this one.
Oh, absolutely.
Jesus Christ. I don't know where I would have been without you when, all the bad shit was happening on my side of this whole thing. Or just the day to day, just checking in with a bunch of fucking nerds and trading cat pictures or whatever, getting animal pictures in our listener inbox and just tweeting out dumb shit and having people who actually give a shit about it talking back to me and all that stuff. The community has been such a big pillar of this year, and they're actually my highlight as well. It's really cool that we didn't copy each other's notes, but we basically said the same thing. But mine is more specific. So back in June, we donated our month's Patreon earnings to the Yellowhammer Fund in an effort to help protect women's healthcare and the right to choose. And that's something that's very important to both of us. And I posted about that on our Facebook page, and the outpouring of support we got from listeners was inspiring. A bunch of people, and along with just people saying oh, that's great, nice thing you did, cool. A bunch of other people donated alongside us, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And then one guy got really angry about how we were using our funds for for this purpose. And
this fucking guy.
Here's the thing. That only spurred more people to donate to Yellowhammer because the only thing better than altruism out of the goodness of your heart is altruism in the name of spite, which I'm really into. And it's every time you say something stupid, I'm going to donate our $6.90 to Yellowhammer. And what do you know? They made $50 from that guy that day. But it was just
man. The thing that pissed me off the most about that guy, besides him being just a terrible human and a complete shithead,
that he didn't donate to our Patreon in the first place, so he has no right to have any say over what we do with that money.
Not even a Patreon donator.
Yeah, which if you're not a Patreon donator, that's cool, man. That's great. That's fine. We're happy to have your patronage if you're willing to give it, but if not, that's cool. But if you're gonna be shitty about what charities we donate our money to, maybe you should have something to back that up.
Maybe you should go fuck yourself.
Maybe you should fuck off to hell. But
yeah, that was my favorite part, when people just dogpiled that idiot and started donating more.
Dunking is funny, but donating out of the name of that is so much better.
And listeners, I want to part the kimono a little bit here. And when stuff like this happens, when we do engage negatively with listeners for the show, Campbell is a wonderful moderating force where he says, no, Dan, we will, 1, not punch down, 2, not engage people in bad faith, and 3, not be dicks on the internet while I'm over here at my computer basically scream typing, Campbell, I want to get this guy. Campbell, I want to get him so good. I want to get this motherfucker. And Campbell's like, Dan, not just yet.
So, Dan, here's
I love that about you. I really do.
It's really bizarre because I don't practice that in my own life almost ever. So what you need to do is you need to like lie down on a piece of paper and have someone trace your body on that piece of paper. And over the course of the year, write every mean tweet you would have written on that piece of paper. And come the spring solstice, burn it in your backyard.
I like that.
And set your anger free.
I like that. That sounds very nice. Okay, well, good thing we didn't crib notes from each other. We actually didn't, listeners. No, we just came up with the same fucking things. Let's talk about our hobby lows in 2019. Too much life shit got in the way for me. This was my first one. As everybody knows, my mom died just after my wedding, and many of us on this in this community, I was about to say on this show, well, many of us on this show are married, but 2019 was a year of change for me, and a lot of that change cut into the normal functioning of my life, and in good ways and bad ways. And it's just I felt like a lot of time this year was spent for me just discombobulated, not on stable ground. And especially the second half of this year. The second half of this year has been just a fucking like a, one of those. I'm not even going to go into this analogy because it's stupid and take me 20 minutes to get through it. But it's been wild, and I'm looking forward to a little bit of stability in 2020.
Yeah, as someone who had a year that was similar in a lot of ways, same, fam.
When did you buy your house?
We bought our house about 2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago.
So I've at least had that buffer, but again, we still had home projects, and there was a renovation that upseated the whole house and meant I was working out of the library for 2 weeks, and we recorded an episode that way. If astute listeners may have remembered one episode that echoed like a motherfucker, it was that one. It was the one in a literal echo chamber instead of a figurative echo chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It wasn't originally one of my low lights here because I was trying to steer away from a lot of real life shit, but whatever. You're already throwing the gauntlet down. Yeah, real life shit. Fuck it. I didn't like this year at all. I've spent way too much of this year being incredibly sad and incredibly confused, and both at once. Because, what do you know? My mother-in-law died a month before we were supposed to get married. Then we got married. That was weird. That was a very uncomfortable day in a lot of ways, but it was a beautiful day in a lot of ways, but an uncomfortable one in a lot of others. And then, of course, the 3 months after that have just been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, dealing with all the other real life bullshit. So real life shit. That's why I couldn't go to Nova, which is a footnote on the things that sucked about that whole situation. But still, the footnote's a footnote. My whole year was thrown out of whack.
Oh boy, I'm just, what the fucking stupid thing is? 2020 is not going to be a chill year.
Oh, no.
2020 is going to be an extremely not chill year.
It's extremely not chill year. It might have a nice ending, but I'm not too hopeful about it yet.
Oh, boy. We're sitting over here being like, oh, man, I hope 2020 is good.
No, everyone who's
2020 is nice and calm.
Everyone who's ever said they want to live through exciting times is fucking full of shit. It sucks.
Oh, my
I wish
God.
I lived in boring times.
Oh God! All right, let's move on to the next hobby low. My big hobby low for me was no Campbell at Nova. To be honest,
yeah, that was part of my first low light. You thought I'd suck for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Well, yes, but also,
but it did not even get close to as shitty as it was for you. And I got to tell you, man, you missed Adepticon in 2018, right?
I think it was that one.
Yeah, and I mean, it was good, but it wasn't as good. And you missed Nova, this past Nova, and Nova was good, but again, it wasn't as good. And I missed you a whole lot. So hopefully, we'll be able to actually do our stupid friendship trips together in this next year. But that was definitely a low point for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of starting to get away from the real life shit for my second low point, which, I mean, it's tangentially related, but I feel like I honestly didn't really play that much this year.
Okay.
I probably did play a lot, but I have just multiple armies that have gone completely unused, and I haven't even bought the codices for a few of my armies. I don't know, I can think of probably 4 or 5 armies I played with maybe once this year. And
Yeah.
even then, like other ones I didn't play with a whole bunch after Adepticon, like my Templars kind of went away, you know? But yeah, so.
I mean, they're back, kind of.
But I haven't bought the book for them even. I haven't even bought Psychic Awakening.
Hilarious.
Too. Yeah, that's this year is just me being
I have that.
yeah, that's just me being like, huh.
That's the only Psychic Awakening I have, but I do have it because there's, you know what? Segue into my third hobby low for 2019.
It might be mine.
And you know what? Some listeners are going to be upset at me for doing this because it doesn't matter. 40k is getting too complex.
40k is getting real bad rules bloat. This is my third low light too, so let's just fucking smoosh them together like a really gross low light Oreo.
Like some sort of bloated.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go. Low light here. Yeah, 40k
light.
rules. There are. So, I think this is coming. A second Space Marine Codex for 8th edition was fine, and some would say even necessary.
Yeah, they were in a really rough place before that.
They had first Codex blues big time. Mm-hmm. But then they dropped 6 different supplements to the codexes the codex. And that it's too much. It's too many rules. And not only do they have individual chapter tactics, which is something that every army has, fine, cool, but now they have this entire smorgasbord of different relics, of different tactics, of different warlord traits, of different psychic powers, and it is just so fucking much to remember.
Yeah, I don't remember all my stratagems. Like I know the strategy for stratagems, the stratagem strategy, if you will, is to just like pick out the cards that you know you're going to use before the game and just stick to those. But willfully ignoring a bunch of your own rules just so you can play the game is not a good sign.
It's not ideal. And the Psychic Awakening books are problematic.
I think it's cool that they're advancing the narrative, but you could credibly be bringing 3 books for a mono faction army.
Oh, I brought 4 last time I played 40k. Jesus. I had the Space Marine Codex. I had the Raven Guard Codex supplement. I had Chapter Approved 2018 because this was a week before Chapter Approved 2019 came out. But I guess I'm going to be adding that to or replacing Chapter 20, whatever. And then Faith and Fury, Psychic Awakening 2. So 4 books for one game.
Yeah,
and I know that I was giving a listener some shit earlier in the year for saying that Index Hammer was better, and I still do not think that Index Hammer is better than this bloated nonsense, but I think there has got to be a friendly fucking medium between the two.
We were in the friendly medium for like a good year. 2018 was nice.
Yeah, it's just too many fucking rules now, dude. Yeah. And like Psychic Awakening is going to like enhance every faction, right? So every faction is going to get another 15 pages of rules or something. Mm-hmm. And bud, like I read these tactics articles on Goonhammer. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah,
like I really like they'll pop down one of those Battlescribe lists or whatever, and it's got like Lord Discordant, Marcos Sinesh, and then like their and then like that after that I'm like lost. I don't know what any of the words mean.
Yeah,
because then there's like 4 terms right after that, and I'm just like, what's that? But what's that? What's that? And it's like, oh God, I can't even imagine trying to keep up with the meta. I just play fucking casually over here, and keeping up with this fucking 40k meta right now has got to be such a fucking headache.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's why I'm still painting my backlog shit from 2017.
Yeah, well, I think I mean, what do? You cut rules, right? You simplify. You bring things into one book. You make. And that's the thing, like a lot of these rules aren't making units that nobody uses better. Right. They're just like refining the units that people already use.
Often, yeah. I mean, are you really going to use the stratagem that makes so your assault marines occasionally cause mortal wounds when they charge? Do you need to remember that stratagem exists? Is it kind of cool that it exists?
Do people use assault marines?
That's the thing. No, like.
Do people use Reavers?
Some people use Vanguard veterans. I use Reavers because I bought them when I was drunk 2 years ago, and I need to use them to justify that purchase. But generally, no.
Yeah, well, it's too complex right now, and I think that something needs to give with it, or not, or they just keep on going with Psychic Awakening and throw more and more rules onto the fire, and we'll just be playing 7th edition before we know it.
If 7th edition was so great, why isn't there a 7th edition too?
Right. Anyways, let's talk about what we're looking forward to in 2020. Now, for this, I have a little chronological list here.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm going to start it off with Adepticon, because Adepticon is coming up at the end of March right now. It is the end of December. I think it's the 28th. That's right.
Yep.
The 28th when we're recording. So it is about 3 months away.
Oh, that's nice to think about.
Is it nice to think about, or is it terrifying to think about?
Well, considering one of my resolutions is to complete my Ultramarines by then, it's a little terrifying, but it's only a captain, 10 intercessors, 3 inceptors, and a dreadnought. And I can do
That's not too bad.
I can do that in 3 months.
I got it. I just have to do planes and a Blood Bowl team, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so both have a little hobby commitment by Adepticon. That's pretty.
But I'm so excited for Adepticon. I'm not even playing 40k. I'm doing new events. I have a new game. We're going to see our friends. We're going to do trivia and defend our championship. We're probably going to end up doing karaoke again. I'm going to eat deep dish pizza.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? You're in Chicago. You got to get some of those deep dish hot dogs while you're there.
Fuck yeah. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Very excited for Adepticon 2020. Almost at the can't wait level. Almost.
Just shy.
Then after that, in the spring, it's when we generally do our Necromunda event up in New York, which I am tentatively calling Cinco de Necro Dos El Regreso, which means the return in Spanish. Yes. So Cinco de Necro Dos, hopefully that will come about probably in May, probably around Cinco de Mayo, because that's when we usually do it. I'm very excited for that. Me and Jules are going to whip up something extremely special and cover it for Necromonday, probably.
Cool. One of my second resolution is to get another Necromunda gang up and running. I don't know if it'll be by then or by the time Dylan runs his campaign, but I do want to shake things up as much as, I don't want Big Chungus to come back there and fail to live up to his title or get murked immediately for being Big Chungus. I want to start a new chapter, a new Chungus-less chapter. I want to make room for a new Chungus.
Well, we'll figure out a way to get some of the old heads back somehow. I
do have a Sump Croc now though, so I think I can. I think I might. Maybe I will bring Glass back. I don't know. We'll see.
The Crump Sock. So I'm really excited in 2020 about having a place to play in my own house. I'm down here in the basement right now recording, and I played a game against Kevin here. I've actually played 2 games of Necromunda in my basement. I got new tables. I got tons of space. It is working out perfectly, Campbell, so far, and I'm so excited to expand my hobby abilities here at home.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a big project. That's a big project, but it's a fun project. And you were already starting it with all the terrain back at your old place.
Yeah, someday I'll finish that terrain. And I'll talk about it on the show.
Cool. So my third resolution is, again, these are all pretty surface level hobby resolutions, but I want to get my Slaves to Darkness playable by summer. There is usually, I think I missed the last, I think it was November, Dylan ran a Little Age of Sigmar event, but I think it's a 40k one in summer. But by the summer seems like a nice timeline for me to at least get my Slave to Darkness 1,000 points painted, build another one of these hateful fucking chariots, and just keep on working towards getting a playable force of them. Because I love their look. Their army book, I've been reading it, is fucking great. There's a bunch of cool fluff in there by Aaron Dembski Bowden. He wrote some short stories in it, and it's. I want to live this army. I want to actually have an Age of Sigmar army, not just a Warhammer Fantasy army ported over to AOS. It is in a way, but you know what I mean. An army made to be.
No, I totally understand.
Made for this game, yeah.
So great spoonerism here. Slaves of Darkness, Daves of Slarkness.
That's all right. Daves of blank is powerful, but Slarkness isn't a word, and that's the problem.
The Daves of Slarkness.
Yeah, no, if it was Daves of Darkness, that's the name of my Mordheim Ward band.
Oh, the Daves of Darkness. All right, well, you have fun with your Daves there. Is there
and Darkest Dave or Blackest Night? Oh, no Warham shall escape my sight.
Okay, do you have anything else you want to look forward to? Because I have an announcement that I want to make last.
See, I have actually kind of an announcement too here, and it's actually more of a question.
Go.
So, all right, we've had 2040k teen.
Yeah.
We've had
Oh,
29
God damn
green.
it. Yeah. And how well did that work out?
Yeah, I know, but
I'm painting Orc Plains. I'm painting Orc Plains.
I painted Zarbadge's Jits, so I painted some greenskins too. But what do we got for the year 2020?
Oh, God.
We got for you Twantitanicus? We got Aeronauta 2020.
Oh, okay.
We could try to represent the breadth of games we play with the 20 O'Plenty. Or to, I mean, this one's unfortunately very much focused on my experience. If I just focus real hard on my Ultramarines, it could be Vulpes Vulcis Venti Venti.
I was wondering when you'd work in. I like it. The Venti Venti. Vulpes Vulcis Venti Venti.
Yeah.
We're here. We're about to get into it. That's it. That's what it is.
All right. I'm glad we could get it in 4.
Okay. Well, actual announcement here. One of the things I'm looking forward to most in 2020 is Nova Open 2020. And the reason for that is because I am on the team for running the 2020 Nova narrative.
My gasp.
Yeah, well, you knew this weeks ago.
I'm the audience surrogate, Dan.
Well, but this is actually a big deal. This is going to be a very big project for me for the entire year. We are working to not revolutionize, but really change up the way that we do narrative gaming at Nova. We are, one thing that I'm really excited about is that we're not tying success in the narrative to winning games. There will be extra, I want to say like extra mission objectives, like outside of the mission specifically, like,
okay.
or not necessarily part of the mission. There'll be objectives for players that are going to be the things that score the most points for the, it'll be something like, your campaign needs you to cut off the head of the enemy, or your faction does. And so we're looking for killing characters this turn, or this campaign turn, this round. So people will be like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't win my game, but I totally eliminated all this guy's characters and won a ton of points for my team. That sort of thing. So it won't just be like the best players are the ones that do the best job in the campaign, but it'll be the most effective players in the campaign. That's one thing that I'm really excited about that we're going to be bringing to the 2020 narrative.
Nice.
But it is a big fucking job. So it's, oh man, Scott Horace and Chris Stover are also on this team with me. And we're talking just about every day about the ways that we want to improve this event for everybody. So very excited to be running that. And I hope you, listener, join us at the Nova Narrative in August and September of next year, because it's going to be fun.
Always is.
Always is. And you know what? It might even be more fun.
I think it's going to be more fun.
Maybe not for me, because I'll be, in the weeds pretty much the whole time, but it'll be good.
I look forward to coming across you sleeping under the ref table at
that won't be me.
2:30 in the morning.
Well, here's a big announcement for Nova Narrative Night Fights: is they won't start at 9:30 anymore.
Good.
We are looking at starting them at 8, or I think 8:30 one day.
Good.
Or it's the other way around. But it'll be the sort of thing where it won't be an hour of figuring out who you're going up against before the rounds. It's going to be a lot more streamlined and a lot faster for all the players. So hopefully people won't be playing until 4:00 in the morning unless they want to.
Yeah.
In 2020 Nova.
Let's say if you want to play an all-night cooler water fueled bender, go for it. But it won't. But it won't be part of the.
Love that cooler water. You know me,
won't
baby.
be part of the structure anymore. Cool. I'm really excited for it. I don't know if I'll have ultras with me or not, but I probably will.
Well, I mean, you didn't get to bring them to Nova this time, so I think they're due.
Yeah,
I think they're due.
It'll be new to everyone there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really big announcement, and I'm looking forward to all the preparation that gets that off the ground. And I'm sure I will be mentioning it more as we move forward into Venti Venti. So we're nearing the end of the show here, but there's one more segment that we got to hit before we go, and it's Fact or Fan Fiction, the last Fact or Fan Fiction of 2019. Campbell, let's make it good.
That's a shame, because it's not gonna be. Oh shit! Now I feel like I'm set up for something. Now this is gonna be. Well, we'll see what we can do here. Part 1. Tharn strode forwards as his commanding officer called him. He made sure that he had one hand on his bolt pistol at all times. Tharn didn't think too highly of his officer. He was only 100 years old and mistreated him badly.
Tharn, now, you'll do as I say or I'll put a bullet through your head. You're going out with the rest of the bikers for the first wave of an assault of the Imperial camp. You're a veteran, so you're perfect for the job. Now
The officer was cut short as his head exploded in a shower of blood. All of Tharn's squad glared at him. He bored me, Tharn said smugly. He holstered his bolt pistol and walked over to the bike sheds. Come on, let's kick some Imperial butt. He walked over to the bike shed and kicked down the door. He hopped onto his dark blue bike and reversed out. He pulled the throttle. Zoom! His bike was over the horizon before anyone could move. Tharn whistled once. What?
Can I interject here?
Sure.
Bikes don't have reverse. There are only a couple that do, and it's not a real reverse gear. It's usually running the starter motor in reverse and hooking it up to the drive train somehow, and then you go reverse like maybe 2 miles an hour. So yeah,
I like that.
There's a motorcycle fact for you listeners out there.
I really look forward to I'm picturing this with the Corn Berserker riding a motorcycle is slowly backing out of a shed while like loudly goes like beep, 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 beep. And then he just like does like a 6-point turn. Sorry, it'd be an 8-point turn to turn around.
Like in fucking Austin Powers. He gets stuck in the hallway. All right, please continue with the story of Tharn.
Zoom! His bike was over the horizon before anyone could move. Tharn whistled once, and out of nowhere, a pack of flesh hounds appeared. They raced after their master. Tharn pulled out his power sword and pressed the on button. The rest of his squad arrived when they were about a mile away from the Imperial camp. Ready, boys.
Press the on button. Oh, fuck. It's gotta be the lamest way to say he powered up his fucking powers.
He didn't finger the power rune on his like ancient blade. Nah, he just pressed the on button. He gave it a shake once or twice to make sure the batteries were still in there.
Oh, fuck. Okay, are you still going or should we just quit?
You know, there's more.
Keep going, fuck it.
Part 2. The bikers raced towards the camp. It was in sight. Tharn heard chainsaws switch on. He saw a large explosion in front of him, and the next thing he knew...
Push the on button?
And the next thing he knew, he was laying on the dusty road with shards of blue metal everywhere. He looked to his left and saw one of his fleshhounds missing its head. The others began to chew at it. Jesus. Tharn rode to his feet and sprinted towards the camp.
Did he say Jesus?
Yes. Sorry, Jesus. Tharn rose to his feet and sprinted towards the camp. He drew his bolt pistol and started to take pot shots at the heavy bolter nest. He saw most of his squad hacking at the Imperials. Then one of them was hit with a las cannon bolt and he was obliterated. His blood sprayed everything. One of his pot shots got lucky, and the heavy bolter's plural gunner was sent sailing. Tharn, are you there? Yes, sir. What is it? Where are you? Your sergeant is dead. Someone put a bolter shell on his head. Yeah, that was me, and we're at camp. Out. Tharn continued to run towards the camp. When he got there, he vaulted over the barbed gates and cleaved someone in half with his power sword. He saw a sniper at the top of the watchtower and noticed bullets ripping around his feet. He quickly raced towards the ladder, dispatching Imperials left and right as he went. He already deep red armor was slick with blood, and a head was stuck on his spiked shoulder pad. He grabbed both sides of the ladder and ran up. He aimed his bolter at the sniper's head, snipers plural, when suddenly a space wolf stamped on his hand. Oh! Tharn screamed in pain, and he looked up. It was only a blood claw. How could this be? He ducked his head as the blood claw's chainsword was towards his head. He put a bolt pistol shell into the blood claw's groin. His leg fell to the ground, and the blood claw fell screaming. The sniper turned around and aimed his rifle at Tharn's head. Don't move! Tharn Tharn rose to his feet and aimed his bolt pistol at the hopeless sniper's head. The sniper grinned as he squeezed the trigger. The bullet embedded itself in Tharn's forehead. He screamed in pain and fell to his knees. Just as the blood began to spurt from the wound, the sniper was decapitated by Tharn's power sword. He staggered to the other side of the watchtower and threw his power sword down. It cleaved straight through the Imperial commander. As he fell, he released bolt pistol shell after bolt pistol shell in an attempt to slay as many Imperials as possible. He landed and noticed that the dusty floor was soaked with blood. He began to laugh and managed to gasp, "Blood for the Blood God!" as the warp picked up his soul and his physical form exploded and released the greater demon of Khorne that had been pent up inside him for so long.
Wow. So he killed 2 guys and a greater demon of Khorne popped out, huh?
Yeah, once he switched his power sword to on, it was all uphill from there.
It was on.
It was.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that was stupid and bad.
So
that's
par for the course.
That's fan fiction.
Yeah, this is fan fiction. It is Tharn's demise by repeat offender Sauron Jr.
Oh, that guy's one of my favorites.
Yeah, this is some early 2003 era Sauron Jr. I'm really curious to see where he's at these days.
Okay. Well, gang, thanks so much for listening. Let's do some plugs before we get out of here. I want to plug goonhammer.com. It is the best 40k website on the planet with some of the best resources out there. I write a weekly column called Necromonday about, you guessed it, Blood Bowl. And you are welcome to come join us in that and be a part of our community there. And, read the articles, leave some comments, and have a good time.
Yeah, it's the radical notion of a Warhammer website, but good. And
and one of my favorite things about the site is there are no ads. There will never be ads. It is a community-driven content, or it has community-driven content. Nobody's getting paid to do anything here. It's all about people volunteering for the better of our hobby.
Right.
So goonhammer.com, it's the place to be.
Yep. I just recently did an article on there, which is an army showcase of my still in box pretty much House Lakar Knights. And if you want to check that out and get some a little bit of fluff and a lot of pictures, that's up there.
Okay, I also want to plug our Patreon, patreon.com/40k Badcast, where we put out monthly fun stuff. We just put one out this month with another interview with our friend Edwin Moriarty about AOS, about the old world and what it could be. And it turned out to be a really fun conversation with somebody we like a whole lot. So head on over to Patreon, subscribe, and give that one a listen.
Yeah. And if you feel like poisoning your brain and going onto Twitter, we're both on there.
It's true, we are.
I'm at Brother SRM. You are at DB_sleazy. And I've been tweeting about the CV Pharmacy near where I live.
Yeah, I think I tweeted some model pictures last night.
Actually, I tweeted a whole fuckload of model pictures today. So if you want to check out all the things,
shit, I got to get on that.
Yeah, it's all the stuff.
I got to prime that like button and that retweet button.
Yeah, give me those microdoses of dopamine, please. I need them. But yeah,
it's not the same when it comes from me. It can't be. When I see you liking my stuff, I'm like, he better. he better like that tweet.
Yeah, well, God, I don't have a follow-up for that. But yeah, no, go check those out. But also, if you feel like seeing my pictures again, but maybe more of them, you can go at cam2d.tumblr.com, where I also post this sort of shit on everyone's favorite dead/dying/actually dead social media website, Tumblr.
There's also a Facebook community that I have heard about that is the Cam Hammer.
Right.
Site, because you can't change the name to 40k Badcast.
Right, but it is still like facebook.com/40k Badcast or something of the sort.
If you really want to not only listen to assholes, but look like assholes too, then head on over to shop.spreadshirt.com. Nailed it. /40k Badcast and buy some clothing that we, and when I say we, I mean me, have designed.
Yeah, sure.
That's my favorite bit on the show.
It's my least favorite bit on the show. We'll have more soon. Time is a thing that we don't necessarily always have a lot of, but we'll have more soon. We've got more ideas than time, which what else is new?
Well, Minnie has come down here and is demanding a lot of play, so it's time, Campbell, to give these people a quote so I can stop this podcast and play with my cat.
Okay, that is a pressing matter. The universe has a cold, unforgiving heart. cares not for the lives of men.
No, but it does care for the lives of cats. We are the 40k Badcast. We're bad at 40k, and you can too. And y'all, we'll see you in the next cartoon.